Today we're going to tie the bunny bomber. You would have seen this in Fly Life edition 122. It's a pretty simple fly, but there is a few steps to get through. So let's get into it. Okay, inside of the hook vise, have a Gamakatsu SL12S hook in the size 2.0, and going to apply a nice thread base to the hook shank. This is using Danville's flat waxed 210 denier. Clip that little tag off just there. So the first part is to put a couple of guards in place. So the first one that I like to do is to put the tail supporting guard. So from around about halfway down the hook shank, I'm going to tie in a length of 30-pound Sunline FC rock, just like so. Okay, we might put him up there just in the material clip, just out of the way for the time being. Then the second part that I like to do is to put on the structure guard on the front. So with a length of 60 pound, I like to form a hoop. I'm going to turn this hook over, and I'm going to put this on the underside of the hook shank. And I just like to bind those two legs together, and we're going to bring it down past the tie-in point for the 30 pound, which is on top of that hook shank. Just cut that off like so. Now at this point, I am going to leave this guard hanging out the front like that, because it means that it's not going to get in our way when we're doing any of the other tying steps, but we will attend to that right at the very end of the fly. Okay. Just make sure that you're happy that all of your guarding type material or supporting materials are secured down nicely. The first part is to tie in the tail. So this is Hareline Magnum rabbit, so that's 6 mils wide in its hide width, and from around about halfway, it's going to take a few tight wraps and bind him down. Okay, so that's the full length, but we will attend to this while we're here. Now what I want to do is to pierce a hole with my bodkin that's around about 5 mils distance from the back of that hook shank. So push that through like so. Make sure that that hole is in the center of the hide and it's pretty clear. So what I would need to do, so I need to feed that 30 pound straight through. I'm going to bring that up like so. Now I'm going to trim this tail down to length, obviously, but to tie in the guard, I don't really want it pulling on the rabbit like so. Okay, so that's too tight. So I need to make sure that the rabbit hide stays in a straight position, and then I somewhat hide that 30 pound in the top of the fur, so to speak. So if the 30 pound is following the contour of the rabbit, let's say, then you've got about the right amount of tension. You can see as I pull on that, it starts to lift that tail up, and if I push on it, it pushes the tail down. So let's keep it nice and horizontal, okay? The thumb and forefinger, just to hold it nice and taut. And I'm going to bind that, down nice and tight. Just like so. Now that's more than enough. I don't want to extend these threads all the way through to here for this part. We need to keep this area of the hook, or just behind the hook eye here, nice and clear for the steps later on. Let's cut him and cover over that little tag with our thread. Okay. Rabbit zonker, I'm going to trim that now so that the rest of the length of that fur doesn't get in our way. Okay, let's turn the hook over. I do like to fill out the body or the underbody of any type of bunny fly. With fin raccoon is my preference. Other materials do work. I do like the natural movement of the fin raccoon. So I've taken a generous clump. Some of these guard hairs I'm going to remove. And between my thumb and my forefinger, I'm going to slide this material so that it actually starts to create more of a taper through here. Okay, a couple of guard hairs there that I can get rid of. Slide, thumb and forefinger. It's looking pretty good. So right at the tie-in point, split that down the center and tie that in 1, 2, 3, 4 times. Get rid of anything that wasn't trapped. Cut the tags off. Now I might just add a little bit more volume to this. So going back to my little patch of fin raccoon, cut another piece off. Going to get rid of all of those guard hairs, or the majority of them out of there. Same process. Slide. Split down either side of the hook bend and tie that in. 1, 2, 3, 4, nice and tight. Cut those butt ends off, just like so. Okay, and you can cover up those if you want to, just like so. Okay, so let's spin him back around. We've got the tail in place, which is looking pretty good. That barring on these rabbit zonkers is pretty good. It's pretty consistent, and we have a nice full belly just under there. Okay, alrighty, next step is we want to start building the head. So this fly takes 2 different types of brushes. The first brush that we're going to put in place is the Enrico Foxy brush. This is 3 inches wide. It's fairly dense once we start to attach it and bring it forward. So this is the whole brush. It's on a little wire there that you can see. So not using your good scissors, little pair of side cutters makes the job pretty good. Just get rid of that. Let's get rid of that wire. And I want to tie this in directly up on top of the hook shank. So 1, 2, 3, and progressively move our threads forward. Okay, it's looking good. So with the brush, what I want to do is manipulate the fibres or the fur to my left, or towards the rear of the fly, just like so. Just means that when I'm wrapping forward, I'm going to be utilising all of the possible fibres and minimising the wastage. Okay, so keeping the wire nice and tight. we're going to commence some forward wraps. So this section will take around about 4. So 1, 2, keeping the wire tight, then bring in the dubbing brush and start to pick out the fibres as I go along. Okay, next wrap is number 3. Same process, wrap and brush out. Pull those fibres out of your way with your other hand. There we go, there's number 4. Brush out. And at this point I am going to split the fibres away from the wire, so you can see that I have a very distinct tie-in area. Okay, I'm going to pull the thread directly behind that wire, capture those little bits of fox and tie that down with some very solid wraps. So a good amount of pressure. There we go. Let's trim that out of the way with the side cutters. Probably need some new side cutters by the looks of this. Okay. If that fails, we'll go right to the back of the scissor blade and knock it out like that. Okay. And then we'll clean up that little tie-in area, ready for the next brush. So a little bit of thread just there to make a platform. Before we attach the next brush though, we'll go all the way around this fly and make sure that we've pulled all of that fox out of the way. Okay, it's starting to take a nice bait fish type look already. Okay, so here we go for the second brush. This is also from Enrico Puglisi. This is the sparkle brush, also again in the 3-inch wide offer. Same process. Little bit of exposed wire is being used as the tie-in on top. Cover up those threads just to make a nice platform. Now this brush is much less dense, so treating it the same by manipulating the fibres toward the left. We want to wrap this brush closer, and again it's going to take around about four turns, and you might be able to see there that some of these start to get trapped. So again, keeping tension on your wire, use your dubbing brush to untrap those. That was number 3 wrap, and then that's number 4. Okay, what that does, it just adds a really nice flashy element to the front of this fly. When you're fishing those barras, that flash element is pretty important in that clear water. Okay, same process. Gonna create a nice tie-in point by separating the flash fibres. Take my thread behind the wire and tie it down a couple times. There we go. Okay. to the back of the jaws. Let's cut that off without trimming your threads. Okay. Now the last part, we're getting towards the last part of this fly, is to attach some eyes. So my preference is, for a lot of my flies these days where I'm using a stick-on eye, I've gravitated towards using tab eyes. Just find them to be so easy to use. So these ones are supplied by Prosportfisher. They're in that nice red colour which matches this fly perfectly. And you can see in my thumb and forefinger there is a tie-in tab. So what I'm aiming to do is to line the eyeball up with the front of the head, and I'm going to take a couple of wraps of thread and tie that down like so. So you should be able to see through here that that's the excess tab that needs to be trimmed off. Okay, so we'll bend him back a little bit. Scissors in there and clip that little silver tag away. So these come on a sheet. So I have separated a couple from the sheet already. Turn the vise over, and the same method. Slide him forward a little bit. Make sure that that eyeball is at the front of the brush. And we're going to clip that little tag off just there. Okay. So this final step is really about just cleaning this area up of the fly. And if you haven't put too many thread wraps in this zone already, you can actually make a pretty clean little thread head just behind the hook eye, but just in front of the eyes, just like so. Then it's time to whip finish. So let's go 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll pull that tight, and I like to pull my whip finishes tight underneath of the hook shank, and same again. 2, 3, 4, 5. Pull that one down tight and underneath, and we can remove the thread. Any little stragglers that you may have, now's the time just to clean them up before we add the resin. The final stages is to bend our guard into place, but also give our thread work and our eyes a nice coat of UV resin. Okay. So for this process I use a flexible resin. This is Gulff Flexman, and we will just coat those threads just with a light coating underneath of the hook shank behind the eye, and just a light coating over those Prosportfisher eyes. Just like so. Don't need to use too much of this, it's flexible. I really like using this in conjunction with those eyes because they too are flexible. They're not a thick dome eye or anything like that. They're quite thin, quite durable. So we'll cure that with the resin torch, the UV torch. This one's the Loon Infinity. I found this one to be the most reliable over the years that I've had or used. Okay, you can really see that thread pop, and that Foxy and Chartreuse really starts to light up, and then the sparkle brush, from my angle you can really see the UV response and reaction right through that area there. Okay. Okay, and if you want to clean up your stragglers along the way, you can do that. There's a little one there that's got a tiny bit of resin on it. We'll get rid of him. Now for the guard. So some guys might keep that as a hoop. Typically what I do is bend this material so it's then 90 degrees or thereabouts to the hook shank, and taking my scissors, I'm going to cut that in half, and then I'm going to trim it to the length. So when I bend or push back that guard material, I want it to be just around the length of the hook point, just like so. Okay. Now 60 pound is quite durable. You can manipulate that on the water if it gets misaligned or misshaped by Barra eats, but it's firm enough so that when you are fishing those mangrove root balls and that timber that's laying down in the water, it's firm enough that it'll assist in getting that fly to crawl across and through that type of timber. Anyway, that's it. That's one completed bunny bomber. Don't forget that there is fly tying kits available for this pattern. Tie a few up and enjoy. Thanks for watching.